Tansei, welcome to Indigenous Projects and Events Speakers Bureau, to our YouTube channel, the Speaker Series, where we amplify Indigenous voices and foster meaningful partnerships. I'm Natasha Delany, and I'm the founder of Indigenous Projects and Events. Indigenous Projects and Events is a full-service event planning and management company that works with Indigenous and non-Indigenous companies, companies, organizations to create impactful events. We also house an Indigenous Speakers Bureau, connecting organizations with knowledgeable Indigenous speakers. And we also offer experiential Indigenous cultural corporate training programs designed to build and expand on current understandings and respect. So we believe in the power of collaboration, and in this speaker series is just one way we're working to build towards bridging gaps within communities. And today, I am so delighted to introduce Mary Wildman. Mary is a member of Curve Lake First Nation. Mary is passionate about collaborating with both Indigenous and non-Indigenous organizations, communities to create positive change. Her work focuses on educating about the impacts of colonialism and fostering a more accurate and respectful understanding of Indigenous peoples. So we are so excited to have her here today to share her perspective and to share her story. So without further ado, I would love to introduce and welcome Mary. Hi, Mary. How are you today? Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how, where you're from, your Indigenous heritage, and how it shaped who you are today and what you do today? So, do you want to expand a little bit more about what happened and, how it's really the focal point of your speaking engagements and your facilitations? Mm. Mm. So, you had mentioned that this was kind of something that happened out of nowhere, that you weren't expecting this to happen. So, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Did you ever find out, like, so you must have been like called in. So somebody must have called in, and then social services came to do an investigation. Is that how it happened, or? Yeah. So I I've learned a lot because also being somebody who was raised in foster care system myself, learned about like newer, I don't know if it's like legislation or just newer goals for child and family services, especially here in Alberta. I don't know if it's the same in your province, but where like reunification is become a priority now. But this is just very, very new. Um, Maybe last 10, 15 years, it's become a thing where um, child welfare, DFNAs are not just snatching the kids from the home after doing an investigation. What is it like over there in terms of that, like right now, since the incident with you? Wow. Right. So the fact that you went to the Court of Appeal in the first place, what was your reasoning for that? So were they trying to make them PGO? So how long did this process take from the time that they were taken to the time that you won the Court of Appeal and your children were returned to you? So 4 years. I'll bet. Yeah, I feel like nobody really truly understands, especially if you're not like um, just as mothers, to be told that you're not adequate or fit enough or, good enough really to be a mother to your children. And then, to also understand how uh, when the colonizers took, our children back then, like it being a very similar situation where other people are determining whether or not we as Indigenous people are fit enough to be parents for our children. So, what kind of led you to, speaking to organizations and whoever your target audience is about your experience? Mhm. So I am Mary Wildman. That is your company name. Tell us a little bit about that and what you offer, the services that you offer. Did you, once you had won that Court of Appeal, did you get lots of attention from that? Yeah, that is just, I'm just so proud of you, for being able to endure all of that, to stand strong in your own truth, and then you won, right? So in terms of the actual final verdict, I don't know if that's what you call it when you're doing a court of appeal, but what was the final result of the court case? Like, what was the final? uh, Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So since then, how have your children been? How have they been? How long did the process take for them to fully be in your care? And then what was the healing process for you and the children? What did that look like afterwards? Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, so they live with the foster parents, then I guess that they were originally kind of sent to. Is that the case? Yeah, I think you're right. It is very difficult when relationships are formed, um, for that, and I think that's the situation that lots of people that are frontline, like these social workers that work frontline, and they have no actual understanding of even like epigenetics or neuroscience, and how much connection matters in terms of parenting our children, and when removing that connection, how devastating it can be for everybody. But in this case, it seems like it did end up working out for the higher good of everybody, and it's been able to provide you with a lot more opportunities. Mm. So, is there anything else that you'd like to share about your work, or any upcoming events that our viewers should know about? Yeah, so that being said, an opportunity to also talk about one of our clients' events. So, University of Calgary, they have they've bid on this global Indigenous social work conference. It is a bi-yearly global event. So they've had it in Taiwan, they've had it in Australia, they've had it in a lot of different countries that have a very strong Indigenous population. And so each every year, I guess, or every other year, countries bid on this, and Dr. Michael Hart with the University of Calgary, he bid on it, and they received the event, and they hired Indigenous Projects and Events as contractors, event management contractors for the overall conference. So we've been planning that for them since September, working alongside with them. And the event is scheduled for August 2025. And we are promoting the event alongside of U Calgary, alongside of One Child, Every Child, which is a part of U Calgary. And this conference has social workers, a lot of doctorate professionals within that industry that they've been going to these conferences for years, especially this one. And so there's a committee of Indigenous social workers that we are also working alongside to plan this and receive feedback and input from. And we just announced the call for abstracts. And so, in terms of the call for abstracts, I think there's about 15 to 20 presentation slots that we are hoping to fill. And so, it's not just for scholars, it's not just for academia students within the social work industry. It's also for frontline service workers and those that have lived experience within the industry. And so I do invite you, Mary, to take a look at the Indigenous Projects and Events website. I'm also going to be sending you guys a list. Oh, I guess she left. Anyways, thank you so much to Mary for joining us. I'm not sure if maybe she just exited out, or the network has gone. But I'm going to be sending the Indigenous speakers also the information about this event and a couple other speaking opportunities that are coming up. But you can follow Indigenous Projects Events on Facebook, on Instagram, to also take a look if you are within the social worker industry, you are a student, or you have lived experience like Mary, to please submit your abstracts to www.iivsw.com. And that being said, I will also be putting Mary's social media posts and links into the show notes of this episode. If you guys want to follow her, continue to hear her story as she progresses along in all of the successes that she has going on, that would be amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi.